I woke up to a loud noise that echoed throughout my apartment this early in the morning. The sound was sharp and insistent, waking me from my restless sleep. I glanced at the clock on my bedside table. 7 a.m. Who could come to visit at this hour? That question swirled around in my head as I got up and threw on my robe, then headed for the kitchen. When I entered the room, I was greeted by an unexpected sight. My sister's husband, Alex, sitting hunched over at the table, visibly drunk. His disheveled hair and glassy-eyed stare spoke volumes. This wasn't the first time he and my sister Lily had had the usual arguments. "What are you doing here?" I asked, raising my eyebrows sharply and staring at him. Alex, a dark-haired man with flushed cheeks, stared blankly at the table in front of him. A strong odor of alcohol lingered in the air, making me instinctively step back. "Lily and I had a fight last night," he muttered, his voice heavy with regret. "She kicked me out and told me not to come back until I sobered up." I sighed, frustration bubbling up inside me. Alex looked genuinely upset, his usually confident demeanor replaced with vulnerability. Despite my annoyance at the early intrusion, I couldn't bring myself to chase him away. After all, we were family, and it was better to have him come here than end up in an unsafe place. "It's a good thing you came here, and not to someone random," I murmured, and my voice softened slightly. "Have a seat. I'll pour you some hot tea. As soon as you sober up, you can go home." Alex nodded silently, his shoulders slumping even more. I walked over to the stove and filled the kettle with water. When the sound of boiling water filled the room, I tried to focus on the task at hand, avoiding looking him in the eye. I wasn't going to get into the details of their fight. It was personal, and I didn't want to cross the line. But the atmosphere in the kitchen was heavy, charged with unspoken emotions. As I stood waiting for the water to boil, I suddenly felt warmth behind me. The pungent odor of alcohol reached me, and my body tensed. My heart jumped when I realized Alex had moved closer. His presence was overwhelming, and I was acutely aware that I was still in my thin nightgown. His arms, alien and unwanted, wrapped around my waist, pulling me to him. "What are you doing? Go home. Your wife is waiting for you," I snapped, irritation and a hint of panic in my voice. I tried to pull away, but his grip was tight. My breath caught, and a sudden shiver ran down my spine. Alex's hands began to move, his touch hesitant yet purposeful. His voice lowered to a husky whisper that sent an unpleasant shiver through me. "I've been watching you for a long time," he said, his words sounding inaudible yet disturbingly distinct. "You are so beautiful. If we keep this a secret, she'll never know. Let's go." A blush crept across my face, and my thoughts raced frantically as I digested his words. Torn between shock and overwhelming desire, I hesitated. Memories of happier times with Alex and Lily flashed through my mind, but they were quickly eclipsed by the tension of the present moment. Against my better judgment, I turned to face him. Our eyes met, and there was desperation and longing in his gaze. In that instant, everything rational seemed to dissolve, leaving only raw emotion. That morning we crossed a line I never imagined I would cross. The tension between us was electric, and no matter how much I realized it was wrong, I couldn't bring myself to stop. We vowed not to tell anyone about what had happened. Even now, when I mentally review the events, I can't regret it. The memories of what happened are haunting and disturbing, a secret I will keep forever.